Hey, Fight fans, welcome back to Curl Up Cruise MMA. We got a recurring guest to the show. If he's on here, he's got a fight coming up, and he is returning to the cage, putting the gloves back on for Tuff-N-Uff, taking on top MMA prospect, Mr. Eduardo Penha, Tuff-N-Uff, 142, March 14th. He is wide open. He is Mr. Josh Weems. Josh, what's up, brother?
What up, man? Appreciate you getting me on again, my guy.
Absolutely, all the time, man. So, kind of crazy. Last week, I'm like on Facebook, like scrolling. All of a sudden, I see Weems, and he's fighting Tuff-N-Uff against a top guy, top prospect, 5-0 kid, tough dude. Overall, when you were pitched this one, what were the initial reactions?
Actually, man, my good friend Van Vo tagged me in this, and then another guy, coach that I've trained with, Chris Pham, he tagged me, and I just honestly, I've been asking. I had managers before, Jason House, Jesse James Wallace, first round management, and Iridium. I always ask for undefeated guys because I always felt like earlier in my professional career that I was kind of nobody believed in me, and I had to fight like guys with like the same record or like basically just not a great record. And I always got told it matters who you fight and what their records look like, and so I always asked for an undefeated guy. And when I saw him, I watched his videos. He just didn't surprise me anywhere. It didn't nothing that just looked. It looked like he's really really good in one area, and that's the thing. And I guess just him having that undefeated record, him being on UFC Fight Pass, and then the promoter was like, "Yeah, Sean Shelby will be in attendance." And then I looked up Tuff-N-Uff. Actually, I don't know why, I just never heard of him. Dana White's been in attendance to some of their shows, so I mean, they're a great promotion. It's great advertising for my sponsors. This is what I was built for, man. So if I can't go out here and figure out this guy and get him out of there, man. I need to just go back and I got to figure it out. That's what it's about. It's got to figure out where we got to grow in the sport, and I think he's just really good in the grappling. His dad's a world champion, long time jiu-jitsu practitioner. I mean, honestly, both of them are real well known for their jiu-jitsu. He wrestled when he was a kid, but as we know, this is MMA. I have fought the best wrestlers. In my opinion, Mo Miller was one of the best wrestlers in my weight class, and right around when I was fighting for Fury, everybody just talked out real highly of his wrestling. But this isn't just wrestling. This is MMA, and that's what I'm going to look to bring, man. Just not necessarily don't go to the ground with him, but respect where he's good at, and just run my game, man. I'm an odd guy to figure out, and he's definitely never fought anyone with the experience I've got or with the calmness that I bring to the table. Like I have I'm wide open, but I'm calm. My heart rate stays low. I can freaking keep up a high pace, and I just know that it's gonna definitely. I feel like it's going to bring some things out of him that he's never experienced. So I think we're both going to get tested, and this is the kind of one of them fights that I don't know. It just doesn't scare me, man. It's one of those. I just want the advertisement. I want to get out here and show myself that I can get it done, and don't need a full camp on a guy like this. And I mean that with all like nothing but respect. I feel like I need to be careful where he's good at and just run my game, man. That's just it. Just stay out of his guard. That's his best thing. And don't let him get my back. The guy is good where he's good at, but as long as we've studied, got my coach John Jackson, watching him telling me all these little things, and like he's a wizard when it comes to watching films. So I just actually quit watching and just let him do his thing, and we got a little game plan for him, so I'm excited.
Last time we saw you in action MMA-wise was against Jason Knight, Biloxi, Mississippi. Big game bred card a few months ago. You mentioned staying calm. That's something you really did against Jason Knight. You made it your fight, and you're able to grind out a great decision victory for you. Overall, looking back at it, what are the thoughts on that win?
Just like we were talking before the interview, I like to critique myself on wins and losses. So I was a little upset that my IQ wasn't there as much as I would have liked it to be. I felt that I could have passed he had a real good rubber guard, and I really just should have stopped trying to do my damage there and passed that rubber guard, so I could have gotten off with a little bit better ground pound and tried to get him out of there. But got to find those little things that I can do better at. And I look great on the feet. I should have believed in it a little more and let things go, and that's what it's about. Taking risks in this sport. I'm brave enough. I just got to get out here and take the risks. And like Coach JJ always says, bro, we're not just going out here to fight. We're trying to go and hit this awesome backflip, this awesome magic trick for these people. And that's what guys like Poetan do. They go out there and they shut guys' lights out. And, just like my opponent, he goes out there and he finds the submission. He's gonna figure it out. But Ankalaev, what did he do? He did his homework and he nullified it. And that's what we did. We did our homework, and I'm gonna really look to nullify Eduardo and look to show him that wide open Weems pace. I'm dynamic, and I just want to show Sean Shelby that, dude, that little UFC debut, that wasn't me, man. I will go in the fire against whoever you want, and I'll fight hard, man. And you ain't just gonna hold me down. If that's what this kid thinks he's gonna do, he's got a long night ahead of him. So I'm excited, man. Just the platform, you know how it goes, man. I'm down to fight anybody. So 5-0, 12-0, it don't matter.
Following the win over Jason Knight retired. Obviously, a guy who's been around for so long, guy who's fought some big names, fought some of the top promotions in the world. Is it pretty cool? It's an honor to know that you were the last guy to fight with him.
It actually made me sad. Just, I don't know. I think it was a good decision because he's already submitted himself. I mean, he's like everybody. Like, if you think about Jason Knight, he's the face of bare knuckle. I mean, that dude is a straight savage. And I mean, his stint in the UFC was awesome. I mean, so go out on a good note. I would love to have seen him go out on a win, not against me, obviously, but Jason Knight's forever got me as a fan, and I know everybody still respects him and loves to watch his freaking fights. But yeah, it was a little saddening, I guess, because he did talk about it leading up, and I thought it was more of something that he was just kind of psyching himself up to, like, all right, I can't lose this kid. I'm going to hang, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. And so I guess to see that it was true, I mean, he's a man of his word, and I think more so to his mom. I met his mom after the fight, and like I said, he's got his respect here in Mississippi and probably across the world. I mean, so shoot, just gotta know when to hang it up, and all much respect for him to just being able to do that. So.
I think it's pretty interesting when guys go the bare knuckle route and then they put the gloves back on. Obviously, when you're training bare knuckle, the philosophy of striking is a little different. It's more accuracy. It's learning where to throw the twos, learning where to throw the threes without breaking the hands. Now you're putting the glove right back on. You're putting a little more protection where you can be a little more reckless. You can be a little more crazy with the shots. Do you think with that training for bare knuckle, is that going to translate positively to putting the gloves back on here?
Actually, it's going to be perfect because just like you said, you want to pop, and not necessarily it's accuracy, not power. But when you put gloves on, yeah, you can throw down a little more power. But what does that do for the grappler, Carlo? It gets up to where he can grab you, and so I'm gonna be a mongoose like never before. I'm gonna hit him, and he ain't gonna touch me. I'm gonna put my toes in his liver, and we're just gonna have some fun kickboxing. And if he tries to grab me, we'll engage when necessary. But we're gonna try to stay our game. And yeah, man, I think that it's perfect as far as my transition. For anyone else, I would say a different style. Yeah, we need to start puncturing harder punches. Let's get him out of there. But for him, that's going to come later, and that's something that I've always had in me as far as knowing how to overcommit. I'm a little bit of an overcommitter in my striking, but this is where I can be taken down, and so I think being smart and playing the bare knuckle approach, touch and don't try to put everything into it to where he can get under my arms to engage in the clinch in his world. So I think it's actually perfect for me on a short notice thing, having this style of opponent. So I'm actually excited. I think a transition is good.
You're a guy. You're not a stranger to short notice opportunities. I mean, you've done it again and again and again and again. For you, what's the dynamic with that, man? I mean, you pride yourself on being like a Cowboy Cerrone guy, any place, anywhere, semi-location. Is that something you live and breathe by?
Yeah, man. I guess it's something. I just love it, man. Like, I get emotional because like what the sport does for me, man. Like, my wife and kids are going to come with me to Vegas this next week. Like, nobody will ever take that from me. And like, do you think I'm taking this fight for the experience? Like I'm going to go out here and live by the sword, die by the sword on Friday night. And it's because of what this sport does for my family and like I'm willing to put out there and put on the line. And I love it, man. Like short notice or not, obviously I'd love to be able to put in an 8-week camp, but these opportunities are not always thrown at you, and I'm here to show that, man, I'm always ready. I'm always in shape, and I'm gonna test this kid's heart early. That's it. That's just what I'm about, man. I'm not a slow starter. I'm gonna test it early and often.
You're a perfect example of a fighter that, really has to live with the sacrifices and I guess you would say the dark side of mixed martial arts. All these people watch it on TV and they think this is a glorious, fun life. Obviously, there's a lot of sacrifices with it. You have your painting business, you do your 9 to 5 plus job, you have to pay to train, you have to support your wife, you have to support your family. But when you look at it, you're only 30 years old, and the stuff that you've done, you've been on some massive bare knuckle cards. You've been in the UFC. You have fought all over the world. There's guys that train for years that came to get to that point. Is it amazing when you think back and reflect? The journey's not over yet, but what we've accomplished so far.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but I got watery eyes because these are just this awesome hits real close to home because the sacrifices, like my kids are at the age where they see it and it really matters. And they get to come with me along on the journey and see these things, and something nobody could ever take from me. Not trying to be a welder, not trying to be. I mean, it's all cool. I think it's something that you can always, never can take away from. But I'm trying to do something that not a lot of people do, and I think they see that they're at that age where they're appreciating that sacrifice a little more because what they're going for in life. Like my daughter, she's gonna be a soccer star. My son, like he's like addicted to basketball. He loves it, Like I feel like I'm teaching them to fall in love with that grind. Not all of it's gonna be perfect, but you got to fall in love with the journey. And I love that about this sport. It's not all highs. It's not all highs. You know, those lows though is what bring you to the highs because it makes you that character. Like you're willing to work out of that low to get to where you can be because I'm not no average fighter. I'm not no journeyman. Like I know the work it takes to get to the top, and that's why I can stay here at the top. And I'm looking to show that Friday. And I literally I wear it on my sleeve, and I love my family and the sacrifices, and I couldn't do it without them. And I just love that they're finally in a spot in their life, like they're old enough to where they see it. They've seen it since young kids, and that's why I get so emotional because I can see that drive that I have in them now, and it just really it just drives me to push harder, man. And yeah, I love it. I love it, man.
What's the biggest thing you want your kids to take away from your journey in combat sports?
If they can do anything, man, like I don't care. I know it's corny as shit, but just as long as it's positive, go for it, man. Like if you wanna, one of my goals, I know it might sound stupid, but is to have like a nursing home, like one day, like a badass nursing home that like where you can comfortably put your family members in, and like there's like cameras on the people that work there, and there's Bluetooth where you can hear and tune in to people that are taking care of your family members. They're never going to be mistreated if that happens. You know what I mean? Like there's goals that you can set in life, and I feel that that's what this is showing them. Like don't matter. It don't have to be fighting. It don't have to be sports. Just go for a really positive goal and don't give up on it, man. Like that's what I feel like it shows them.
When you look at combat sports in this day and age, it's come a long way. 25 years ago, people were calling this human cockfighting. It was not legal in every state. I mean, they thought this was like criminal activity where you end up in prison, all this crazy shit, right? And now we're at a point where it is so entertainment driven. You have guys putting on facades, they're putting on characters. They're doing stuff because they know it's going to sell them tickets. They're going to get the title shots. You've been a guy who's been remained very humble. You always portray yourself. You don't act like someone other than you. Is it kind of hard in this day and age when you're seeing it to remain acting like that?
Honestly, I guess I don't know anything else. I don't. I love like if I have an opponent like Erwin Rivera who is a crap talker, I embrace it. I love it. I don't know if it's because I'm from a trailer park and we scrapped back in the day, um, but I embrace it. I don't know. It doesn't. But I can also do it to where this is a sport. We don't have to be human cockfighting. You know what I mean? Like, I could shake your hand before, shake your hand afterwards, and man, let's just put on for that 15 or 25 minutes of a man. Like, who's better? This is what we train for, and that's what I love about it. Like, I tell all like a lot of people who are like, "Oh, you do that fighting stuff," and it's like, well, yeah, but you don't look at it like it's so barbaric. I mean, it's just like any other sport. It's just there's no team to rely on. It's just you against him, and you know, some people take it a little further than others and make things super emotional. And if you want to do that and it makes you feel better, I'm not gonna, judge you. But if you continue that after the fight, I'm gonna judge you. I mean, I know we shouldn't judge, but I'm gonna think you're an asshole. I mean, that's just in us. You know what I mean? So. Anyway, that's why I eventually shook Irwin's hand because he said he was sorry, and but his character really bothered me. But I go back to like, it's not hard for me to stay to who I am, but it's also not hard for me to whenever a guy wants to be a jerk to play into it and hey, this is gonna fire this crowd up. Let's go, man. I love it. So, I just try not to get too far away from who I am, but I definitely got a little bit of that trailer park in me.
All right, so we're taking on Eduardo Pena. Overall, what do you think of him as an opponent?
Much respect. I think he's great at where he's at. I think he does, good enough striking to where he thinks he makes his opponents think it's going to be a striking match, and then and he does what he does. He jumps all over you, man. He's like glue. Again, we've studied film, and I think I got Eduardo figured out, and I'm gonna test his heart and test it early, like we talked about, man. He I know he's going to test me, and man, I'm ready to answer these questions and answer everyone's questions. Show Sean Shelby, more importantly than all of that. Show Sean Shelby, I'm a guy you can call, man. Win, lose, draw, short notice, camp, it don't matter, man. Call me, and I'm coming to scrap, and it's going to be with some good IQ, and I'm gonna be focused, man, like a freaking mongoose, and not let this guy grab me. If he grabs me, look, I'm a martial artist. I'm gonna be smart, strategic, and look for my timing to explode. And man, I look to hopefully just again draw some eyes from Sean Shelby, Dana White, somebody, so that way they can actually give me one fair shot in the UFC. That's all I ask for. I don't need no contract. Just give me one. I don't even need a full camp. 4 weeks notice. Just let me know, man. And 3 to 4 weeks, I can make 35, no problem. This was the catch weight at 42, Carlos. So it's a little bit better for me. They said that he had just fought February 14th, and they were like, well, he actually said that he was cool with doing a catch weight because he just cut. And I was like, perfect, because I'm not making 35 in that amount of time. So yeah, we're looking good on weight though, man. We're right at 10 pounds out. I always do 10 pounds to 35 on the day of my cut, so we're going to be probably actually a little bit better than the Jason Knight fight, probably only cutting about 7. And then we got the UFC PI is going to be 14 minutes away from where we're staying. They got us set up. Tuff-N-Uff's got a nice hotel, so it's gonna be probably a super gravy train weight cut.
So when you look at this matchup on paper, it's a cool dynamic here, and I think it's a dynamic that you've been a part of once in your career, but on the other side of it. When I look at this on paper, it reminds me of when you fought Christian Rodriguez. At the time, you were that up-and-coming top prospect. He was that guy that's been around for a while, was fighting on the biggest shows. Now you're kind of playing the Christian role, and Eduardo's playing how you were. You kind of look at it as such.
Nah, man, I'm still that young. Yeah, I'm that up and comer. I'm gonna show him. I'm taking all that shine. You got a lot of growing to do, and I'm gonna show him that. I'm on a different level. I mix shit up. I'm not as good as Murad, but I try to emulate that style of you don't know what I'm bringing to the table. I might yank that leg. I might just grab the leg just to make you think, and I'm gonna punch you right in your mouth. That's what we've been training. So that's the current stuff that he's got to deal with this coming up Friday night, and I cannot wait to show him that there are levels. There are levels to this, young man, and I have fought at the levels, and I'm just ready, man. I'm ready in all areas. So
At 30 years old, has the goal changed for you?
none, not at all. That's exactly why I'm taking this opportunity, man. I want to show that just give me a shot in the UFC, man. This is what I need. This is what I want. I can go back to bare knuckle MMA. I can fight BKFC. I've had all opportunities. I just want to fight in the UFC. I want to show my kids that I can win on this big stage. I want to prove to myself, like, I don't care if you're top 15 guy. You give me a little freaking camp, I'm fisting to give you hell. I'm fisting to give you hell. And I just know that, man. Like, these guys are normal. Just like I said with Jason Knight. You ain't got nothing but a better opportunity than I did, and you got them UFC gloves on. When I punch you in the mouth, you're going to bleed red just like I do. And that's exactly how I feel about the situation. So my goal has not changed. It is so right in front of me. And that's what it's so right in front of me. I can smell it on Friday night. The Vaseline, I can smell it already. And I'm ready. This is why I took this fight, Carlo. I know a win over the undefeated guy, a finish over him. Maybe he's gonna get eager and need to get me down because he's tired of getting them toes in his liver and tired of getting mongoosed up. And then we gonna find that counter, whatever whatever the case may be. I'm confident, and I know that when I get him out of there, or we have the craziest fight ever, they're gonna be like, damn it, we need to I want to see this Josh Weems guy fight again. And that's what I'm looking to do, man. Fuck the win.
After all these years, you still feel that jolt? You still feel that excitement coming into Monday of Fight Week?
Oh, man. Yeah, definitely, man. Yes, sir. Like I said, smell the Vaseline. So that's like a lot of fighters will kind of probably relate to that because I can literally smell the sweat and the Vaseline like I'm going into this fight, and I have been festering in it, and I just know that that's what I need to mentally be there. This ain't no short notice, just like Mo Miller was short notice. Yeah, Mo Miller was short notice, but I was ready, and I'm ready this time. It's gonna go out here and, like I said, test this man. He gonna figure out there's levels.
In Mississippi, obviously you train over at Black Sails MMA, but you also go to Albuquerque. Sometimes you do some stuff in New Mexico with Jack Wink MMA. What's it like to cross-train up there?
Man, I love it. It's always great. They've actually, this last time, they made me feel like more of the team than ever. So yeah, and every time I've went there, we've gotten the win. I didn't get the chance to go there this time, obviously being such short notice, but oddly enough, Mike Winklejohn will be there. He is going to be cornering Diego Brandao in the main event, and he was at the BKFC fights whenever Van fought, and he told me he would be in my corner. So I'm hoping I'll have Mike Winklejohn and Jonathan Jackson in my corner, and I told Jonathan Jackson, I know we have that chemistry, love you, bro, but if I got Mike Winklejohn stepping in as my corner, you shut your mouth. So I'm excited to get to represent for Jackson Wink, too.
You kind of stole my thunder a little bit there, Reese, while I was going.
Sorry, my bad. Damn it.
Headlining this one against JB.
I should have known you did your freaking homework. I'm sorry, Carlo.
Obviously, Diego Brandao, a guy who's a legend in the sport, a guy who won the Ultimate Fighter, fought Conor McGregor, been around for so long. And, you're kind of like me. You like those OG type guys. We've been watching this stuff for absolutely ever. Even though, he is a little older in his career, is it pretty cool to be able to find a card with him?
Bro, I would have hate to have trained with him when he was young because he is an absolute savage on the mats, bro. And his plethora of different areas to finish guys. Like, the dude is literally so good at finding different spots to just fuck you up, man. He's just so tricky, man. So have trained with him back in the day, I can only imagine, but it's an honor to share a card with him. An absolute honor. He literally was one of my favorites on The Ultimate Fighter. I don't know why, but it was that scene when it was one of the guys, it was a white guy, called him, I think it was a motherfucker. And in Brazil, that's like saying you fuck your mother. And man, I could tell he got so emotional. And I've always been when I was younger, when I was watching that, I was an emotional kid. So I really could relate to that. Then he just goes out there and knocks this dude out. And I was like, oh, dude, this dude's gonna win, man. And I don't know, he just was always cool. So when I got to actually train with him, man, he just, I don't know, one of those just real dudes. Like, he's gonna not gonna be all that talking stuff while we're training, but after the round's over, he's gonna give you some pointers, he's gonna show you some stuff, and then during drilling, he definitely will talk and kind of show you things. Just a real OG, man. It's definitely an honor to get to freaking fight on a card with him, man.
When you look at fighters, obviously almost everybody has a nickname. And when you start analyzing these nicknames, a lot of times they make no sense. You have no idea, why is this person calling themselves this? With you, wide open's in the name, man. That's how you fight. And I think what's so difficult for anyone who fights you is it's hard to find a sparring partner that's going to replicate what you can do because it's so unorthodox. It's so different. Do you take a lot of pride in the way you fight?
Yeah, you just gave me chill bumps saying that. I appreciate you saying that, Carlo. Yeah, you're not going to find a character that can move from, well, it's going to be very hard to find a guy that can move like I do from both angles. I just throw things unorthodox, and I don't know, I got that funky Jackson Wink style mixed with some Black Cells MMA. So, yeah, it's really, it's coming together. I'm like I said, really been studying Murad, and my coaches have studied Murad and the way he brings things. It's like when he fought Umar, he didn't shoot for the takedown to take Umar down. He did it to make him think. He's level changed and coming back up, and that's how he's rocking guys. I mean, it's like the new age. You got to be able to flow with it. And I just love that. I'm with the teams that are keeping me current with this sport. Love it.
All right. So we talked a little bit earlier about how MMA is going such an entertainment-driven area, and I think a byproduct of that is a term we now use called the casual fan. These people are usually drunk. You see them at B-dubs. They're in the stands and the cheap seats. They like to yell, twist them, and the you-know-what, all these obscenities, all this crazy stuff. How does Josh Weems handle these fans?
Honestly, I tune them out, man. I have been booed. I've been. I honestly, I don't ever remember. Like I remember hearing the boos on the video, but I think because I had a mixture of boos and hollering, like I didn't really ever hear it. But man, I don't know. It's good. It's always good me walking out. I think I can like tune out any. Maybe it's I have like this special power that only lets me hear goodness. I don't know. Like it can be so chaotic, and I'll just hear like my daughter's little sweet voice, "Go daddy," here. You know what I mean? Like just something like that. It's like I don't know. It's happened multiple times. It's so crazy that like I guess when you know your family's voice or you know your corner's voice, it's easier to just channel or hone in on that voice. I don't know. It's kind of I don't know. So it's kind of easy for me.
Do you think fighting's more mental and physical?
Whew, that's a great question. I'd say a 70-30, 70 mental for sure. A lot of people can get physically ready. You got to be able to. You got to be able to. I've heard people say 99% and 1%. I understand where they're coming from in that aspect because what they're saying is anybody can be physical if they want to be. I don't agree with that though because you have to be physical and be able to have that machine go long. Don't matter if you're mentally there, if you didn't put in the work and you're just getting outclassed, it sucks. You know what I'm saying? So I've never been there, but I've watched it. But yeah, so I think it's about a 70-30. I think that, you got to be able to put in that, maybe even 50-50, but it's a lot of mental, man, because you can be in greatest shape as you want to be in. And if you go into what my coach calls autopilot, you're not going to be the fighter that you can be. You're going into old fight or flight mode. What used to make you feel comfortable. Like the reason I beat Mo Miller, the reason I've beat Jason Knight, the reason I've beat these guys is because I believed in the training and I stayed focused. I stayed mentally there, and I think that that's something that I'm working on and getting better at every fight, man. That's like I said to you before the interview. One of the things, or might have been in the interview, one of the things that I was a little upset about was just not mentally being a little smarter at just passing Jason Knight's rubber guard. Like, hey, dude, let's deal with this before you keep smacking him. Dude, why are you trying to punch him through this rubber guard? Let's pass it. Let's deal with you know what I mean? So, it's just about mentally staying focused, I think. So it's a good question. I'm sure that each fighter would answer that a little bit differently.
All right, Weems, last question for you, my friend. In the perfect world, what is the outcome when you take on Eduardo Penha Friday night for Tuff-N-Uff?
And I go out there and hit him with some really, really nice kickboxing moves, but a focused kickboxing, no lunging forward. But, man, we get him reaching, and we finish him with a perfect freaking punch. That's what I want. I think we can finish. He's never been hit hard, and I know for a fact he hasn't. And I'm going to play my power punching as we talked about for this guy and a good timing. But if he's reaching, that's when I can let go of the power a little bit. And with certain style moves. So in a perfect world, man, uppercut, left hook, knock him out, man. Just out of there, you know. But I think realistically, we put on a great fight, and then I finish him second round. I think that I'm gonna let him know that first round, if you get me down, you're not keeping me here. More importantly, I'm going to stay at my range, and I'm going to pick him apart in that first round. And second round, we're going to catch him reaching, and that's when I'm going to make him make a mistake, and I'm going to find that hole. That's what I'm predicting and what my game plan is. And if not, 15 minutes of straight up wide open Weems giving him hell. That's it. Always prepared for that, for the full distance. But perfect world, we're finishing that guy by 2 rounds.
Absolutely. Well, hey, Josh, man, always a pleasure when I get to mix it up and talk things with you, man. And excited to see you in action on Friday night.
Heck yeah, Carlo, man. You know, I already know I appreciate you, man. You always give the most awesome questions, man. For real, personally, you're the man, bro. Like, I think it's awesome that the fans, the people that follow you, get to know me a little bit better because you ask the really good questions, man. You're not the typical interviewer, so I appreciate that, man.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate that, Weems. That's it for us tonight. I am Carl Prusa. That is Wide Open. He is Mr. Josh Weems. Watch him taking on Eduardo Penha Friday night. Tuff-N-Uff 144. Good night, my fans.
Yes, sir.